Hi there, I'm Adam Bruce, I'm the UK Channel Manager for Secure Envoy.
Hi, I'm Andy Kemshall, I'm the Technical Director for Secure Envoy.
So Andy, I've been speaking to many IT managers over the last 7 years, and all of the ones who've deployed physical plastic tokens all have the same issues around deployment, management of tokens, dealing with third-party contractors who may need a plastic token. So they all have the same issues, but one thing that does come up from time to time is the concept of the security of a tokenless solution versus a hardware physical token.
That's interesting because what I see again is the same problem, that people fully and massively underestimate the amount of time it's really going to take to deliver those physical plastic tokens. Now, I've had people say to me, well, I bought my tokenless or my token solution, and along comes 5,000 tokens in boxes. And how do you get those tokens from that physical location in your office out to all of your users? It could be spread around the world, or it could even be contractors, could be, that's a huge undertaking to try and deliver plastic tokens physically from one central location across the globe. I think people massively underestimate the true logistical challenge, because not only is it about changing those tokens, it's about replacing them. Typically, you'll see 10 to 20% of those tokens are lost, gone through the washing machine if they're in the pocket, broken, or just simply faulty. And that's a huge demand on not just deploying them, but replacing them up to 10 to 20% a year. And on top of that, they all have a lifespan, a lot of them. And like any device, 3 to 4 years, laptops, any device that you carry around, you have to replace them. Companies like RSA set an absolute date anyway. So really, if you're thinking about, say, 5,000 tokens, you'd have to not only roll them out over a staggered period of 2 or 3 years, but carry on re-rolling and replacing them frequently. Not just the lost ones, but the ones that are going to time out. So it's a huge undertaking, massively underestimated. I can see why your IT managers are concerned.
Yeah, and I guess it's not just the cost and time, there's also the carbon footprint. So many businesses now are interested in reducing their carbon footprint. So physically manufacturing plastic tokens and shipping them all around the world is not really very green, and hence why Greenpeace selected Secure Envoy.
Interesting, yeah, because I think we did a little, we put it up on a website, bit of fun. We took genuine information around the transportation and the CO2 emissions that creates. And it turns out that if you're going to have, for instance, 1,000 tokens being distributed around the planet to your various different locations, that could take up to, I believe it's 4,500 trees would have to be planted to offset just the distribution costs. So again, it's underestimated the actual negative effects of moving around all these little pieces of plastic. So from my point of view, there must be a better way. So soft tokens, as they're sometimes referred to, or tokenless, is what Secure Envoy branded the idea that really there must be a better way. Adam, are you aware there's nearly 6 billion SMS-based GSM connections?
Only 7 billion people, isn't there, in the
Well,
world?
it's staggering. So they're saying over 6 billion. I believe it's probably 1 or 2 phones per user in some cases, but it's pretty much fair to say that if you're going to use the internet or you're going to have any form of business presence, you're absolutely going to have some form of mobile phone.
Mm-hmm.
But they say that for every laptop that's sold, expect 3 mobile phones to be sold. So there's 3 times more chance of owning a phone, and that's almost certainly going to have a GSM connection. The great thing about a GSM connection is every one of those 6 billion phones, right now, today, with no changes, has the ability to be a tokenless based authentication device. It's very simple because we can use SMS. They've all got it built in, everybody inherently understands how to use it, and it's all about basically using that SMS capability of that phone to send out those one-time 6-digit numbers, as opposed to having to have a piece of plastic generate them. Now surely that's got to be a better solution than...
Oh, it's a fantastic solution. I mean, from terms of management, in terms of cost, I mean, that's key at the moment. Lots of my clients are out there saying we need to reduce costs while maintaining security. So, I mean, that fits in great for that. So the question that I'm being asked sometimes, or the question that arises, is how does the security of a physical plastic token that has no signal coming into it compare with that of a mobile phone that's turned into a plastic token?
Well, that's a very good question, because on the initial sort of side of this, if I put my technical purist hat on, you'd argue that surely a fixed device that's contained in its own capability with no signals must be inherently more secure, and it would probably seem that way. Whereas here's a device over here where you're relying on the SMS internetwork to be secure, and you're relying on the fact that the phone itself can't be compromised so that SMS can be removed from it. So on balance, it would appear that the hardware token is a better and more secure device. However, in the real world, and this is the significant thing that people don't take into account, which is this plastic device has been given to me for a specific role. So if it's a bank, it might have been given to me just to log on to my bank account. I may only do that once a month. I'm going to leave it at home in a drawer near my computer. If it's my office, they expect me to carry this, but again, I may not use it very often. So let's say I go on holiday, and I've got my half dozen tokens for all my different ways of logging in. So am I going to carry them? Probably not, but I might take my office one. So what happens if I go through the airport and someone steals that device? Now, I don't know I've lost this. I don't really care that I've lost it until I next need it. So here I am, I've been on holiday, I'm back 2 weeks later. I then finally decide I'm going to go out of the office and work remotely. And it's at that point, which could be 3 or 4 weeks later, that it dawns on me that my little plastic token that I need to log on doesn't exist. Now for a whole month, somebody else has been logging in under my identity, and there's going to be no way that the IT security team will know it's not me, because I haven't reported it missing. So really, in the purest way, if you look at two-factor authentication, it's all about something you know, a PIN and password, and something you own. But the key with the something you own is you really want it to be on you at all times. You want it absolutely to be reported missing if it's stolen. Sort of like a credit card. If someone stole your credit card, as long as it takes you to report that credit card stolen, you're potentially at risk of someone using that credit card for misuse. So in exactly the same way. Now, if someone steals my phone, then you can be pretty sure that within less than 30 minutes, in some cases 10 to 15 minutes, you're going to be absolutely sure you've lost that phone. And moreover, you're going to report it missing. So if you was to ask me, what, from a social point of view, would I take more care of a phone that's in my pocket that is my outside communications modem, or a piece of plastic that's forced on me by my company, then absolutely, if my phone's stolen, I will report it very quickly. That allows the back end of that phone to A, be wiped out. Most phones these days will just clear and wipe themselves remotely. But more importantly, my back end server can shut down that code, so it can't be reused again. So I would argue that on balance, yes, there's a possibility that SMS may or may not be inherently as secure as a token physically, but the odds of that happening are millions or billions to one. But you compare that against the realistic chance of someone actually stealing a token, then there's a far higher chance of that happening. So on the basis that people take care of their mobile phone, that's more important.
I think also that assumption that you made about people taking care of it more was backed up by a recent survey that we did. The survey said, given these 3 things, what would you least like to lose from your pocket? So they were given the option of their mobile phone, €20, or a plastic security token. I think you won't be surprised to realise that 92% of people would least like to lose their mobile phone, with 7% the money and 1% the plastic security token. And the fact of the matter is, standard users don't care about this plastic security token. They'll lose it and they'll just ring up and say, I need another one. So the actual real world security is exactly what you just highlighted there.
Well, one of the other issues, I've nicknamed this in the past, I call it the token necklace. And it sort of pre-assumes that every company who sends out a physical token assumes that they're the only company on the planet that exists. So my bank assumes that somehow I'm going to carry my little, HSBC did this recently, my little plastic token with me everywhere. My employer assumes that I'm only ever going to have their token. And before you know it, if every bank that you've got, if every credit card, if the tax man, if the government, if the NHS, if we all give us these tokens, which we ultimately will need, I could be walking around with my own personal set of 20, 30, 40 tokens, which is a ridiculous amount of money that's spent. They cannot personally expect me to carry a big box of tokens with me everywhere I go. That's just crazy. So clearly what needs to be happening here is a way of allowing those 20, 30, 40 companies to be able to all come together and use the same mobile phone device, but have separate SMS messages, or perhaps they could have a soft token app from Secure Envoy, which allows them to have 20, 30 different individual soft tokens running all on the same app. So you solve this issue of the token necklace by having a single phone that can be having the identity of multiple different back-end servers from different companies. What I have learned is it's impossible to get all those companies to pull together and trust one token. They just won't. A bank will never trust a different sector because they all have their own rules around how you should look after the device. And those rules are usually different between each different entity. So I can't see we'll ever get to a nirvana where somehow there's one hardware token that does everything, because no one ever trusts each other. But you can have one mobile phone that can act as a single point of connection for multiple back-end servers, all sending you out their one-time codes. So, Adam, would you not say that that's the answer for tokenless, noteless?
Yeah.
Is to go virtual tokens?
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's the same message that we've been going to IT managers with. This is easier to use for their end users. I mean, they don't have to carry a plastic token. And because we do direct LDAP integration, we could utilise their LDAP password as the PIN. Means they don't necessarily have to remember anything additional, they don't have to carry anything additional, so these users are liking this. Then from the administration side of things, no tokens to deploy, no tokens to deal with the lost and broken ones, no tokens to resync, no pins to reset, no separate databases to manage, which means no LDAP synchronization, no proprietary replication. The IT managers sort of administration levels just went down significantly, moving away from a physical token solution. You tie into that the significant cost savings. I mean, over legacy plastic token solutions, this could save them around 60% per annum. So it's not a saving to be sniffed at. And then from the green aspect, the final sort of cherry on the cake is if you can say, look, we can do all this, we can make it easier to use, easier to manage, we can make it significantly more cost effective while reducing your carbon footprint. I mean, it becomes really easy for people then to say, yes, we'll take a look at this, we'll evaluate it.